Hey y'all, I am hopping on here today to tell y'all a little bit about something I saw on my self care day. And my self care days are basically a few hours where I can have some alone time to do whatever I want. So today, for this self care day, after I dropped off my kids, I went to Pilates and then I went to the movies. During the movies, I saw something that referenced shadow work, which is a part of my specialty in the work that I do in the mental health field. And so I thought it was pretty exciting. I wasn't sure that. And I just saw it, so it's kind of fresh on my mind. Um, Spoiler alert though, right? Like if you don't want to hear nothing about the movie, then, probably want to swipe here because I'm definitely one of those people who go into the movies not knowing much about the movie. Maybe I saw a preview, but I try to know the least about the movie before I watch it. Some people do know a little bit about the story. So, you might be one of those people that's like, I'm okay with that. Or you might not mind knowing something. But just warned you. So I'm a therapist who's been in the field for over 10 years. I'm licensed in a few states, and in the last 5 years, I would say I predominantly have focused on um, shadow work and inner child work. And the reason why, how I even got to shadow work was focusing on inner child work comes from focusing on adults who have experienced childhood traumas and they're showing up in different ways as an adult in their everyday life, in their relationships, in their work environments. And so, it kind of like allows some healing to occur. And whenever you do shadow work or whenever you do, shall I say, inner child work, you naturally might be familiar with shadow work just because there's so much overlap in there. Although their focus are slightly different, one is more about the childhood part. They definitely have a lot of similarities. They come from this psychologist and theorist Carl Jung. And he basically talks about how a lot of the things that we're doing is based on unconscious, experiences. And so we are, even in our everyday awake life, we're reacting to situations based on unconscious, things. So the shadow work definitely connects with that. Okay, so how does this show up in this Captain America movie, y'all ask? Basically, Harrison Ford's character was the president, and before he was the president, he had been doing some stuff that rubbed some people the wrong way, that left some bad taste in people's mouths. And but as the president, he had pretty much wanted to clean up his image. He really wanted to protect the country. That's the vibe I got. Um, However, what I learned in this movie was that there were more super soldiers. So you guys know that Captain America is a super soldier. He from like World War I or something, and he was given this serum, and he was put in a time capsule, and then he comes back, and he's so strong. All of this different stuff. Well, there's a lot of super soldiers. I didn't know that, so I knew that they had some people. I don't follow the comic book, so if I say this wrong, don't come for me. I knew they had some people like Winter Soldier and some of the other people, but like I didn't know there were so many super soldiers. So in this movie, it appears that there have been some experiments done on super soldiers, and they were held captive for years for some, decades for others. But they were being, tested on all the time, and of course, some of them ain't happy, right? Like so, um, one person was used to create a medicine for Harrison Ford's character because he was very smart. He was used for several different things, but one of the things he was used for was to create this medicine because we found out in the movie that Harrison Ford had a heart condition, and he wanted to, just have more life, and he wanted to make it right. I don't want to leave this earth as this bad person. So he had this super soldier guy that's really smart make this medicine, and it does seem to help. However, you do see that he's struggling with anxiety, and I think that a lot of modern day movies have done a good job of kind of acknowledging that some of the people that seem like heroes, some of the people that are doing all of this, just this wonderful work, they struggle with anxiety. They struggle with panic attacks and things like that. I could name these movies, but that's not this conversation. I don't want to get myself too much off track. But in this movie, and I've also seen them reference inner child. Like I've seen movies where they will have this person have these constant flashes back to their inner child and some of the things they're carrying with them that may be helping them make certain decisions or rebel, or where they sometimes get stuck. So I see this very, very clearly now, and because of the work I do, I always can catch it. But so in this movie, they did Shadow. and I interpret it as shadow because essentially the medicine that he was taking was actually um, gamma radiation, which we know that's what Bruce Banner was overexposed to that created the Hulk. And so he didn't know he was being, he was being, Harrison Ford's character didn't know he was being given these pills that had this extra gamma in it, and he was like, subtly being turned into this person. But what we do know about shadow work is that everybody has the ideal of shadow work is that everybody has good and everybody has bad. Everybody, like we know that when we think about there's a God, there's a devil type thing. So like as good of people that we try to be, there's naturally this darkness that can be inside of us that just are parts of our personality, and we manage those things. We try to be accountable for those things, those kind of things. But when people struggle with shadow, the ideal is that they have created an image for themselves that they want to present to the world, and that image is the version of them that they want to be. It's probably all good. It's probably all of the good stuff, all of the great things, the strength, all of that. However, the shadow doesn't go away. They just kind of pushed it into the corner. And their ideal is that if I represent myself the way I want to, then I'm in control. Well, baby, the shadow don't work like that. The shadow says when you too triggered, or when you going through certain things, or when the opportunity is right, we gonna come out and we gonna act up. And so sometimes that could be anger outbursts, sometimes that could be shame, sometimes that could be criticism, right? It's just kind of this darkness. And so yeah, Harrison Ford's character definitely carried this shame. Like I said, he did some bad stuff, and he didn't like the person he was, and he didn't want to lead the world that way. And that super soldier that created that medicine for him was like, no, I'm about to expose you to the world because I need people to see who you really are. And he was kind of manipulating him. So he would have these conversations with him at different points when it was starting to become more revealed that Harrison Ford's character was losing control. The super soldier guy had these conversations with him where he's like, you really are mad at this. You really need to let it out. You have this darkness inside of you. You need to just free yourself. And so he was subtly doing it. And then one of I guess the big explosive moments in the movie was the tantrum that Harrison Ford's character had that was in the form of the Red Hulk. And so, yes, the Red Hulk did come out. As many of you who seen the previews know, but that was kind of what was behind it, was that there was this darkness that was already inside of him that was being manipulated, that was being exacerbated because of this medication that Harrison Ford's character was taking. I don't know why I can't remember their names from the movie, so bear with me. But it was it was being exacerbated so that when he did go into that darkness, when he did have that outburst, that it would be extreme. Obviously people would die and all of that kind of stuff. And so I thought the movie did a really good job at kind of helping you see how the shadow can look. Because like I said, we all kind of carry that inside of us. And when we're repressing it, when we're not dealing with it, that's what leads to those tantrums, those outbursts. And in this movie, that's what happened. So anyway, if you get to see it, it's a really good movie. It's way more to it, obviously, but that's one of the biggest parts of the story that you start to realize is why, this is why Captain America even needs to show up and why he has to help and all of that. So anyway, check it out. Tell me what your thoughts are. If you are familiar with inner child work or shadow work, tell me what you think. If you want to learn more about it, of course, I will be happy to talk more about it in different ways. Just drop it in the comments. See y'all.